Hi everyone, I'm back on Let's Talk About It with Marymegan Wright, a junior on the women's lacrosse team at Yale.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Let's just dive right in. What do you think has been the biggest lesson you've learned as a Black woman athlete?
So I currently am the only Black player on my team. And I think that's really been a learning curve for me as a junior. I'm proud of where I've come, but I think when I came into this program, I really wanted to fit in. It's college. I had my best friends for life on my team. And so I did everything that I could to fit in. And I think at times that meant sort of sacrificing who I am and sacrificing opportunities, like making sure I was getting involved in the Black community, and really just being true to myself, because being true to myself meant not fitting in with my team, and not fitting in with my team meant being true to myself, but that cost. It definitely had sort of negative impact on my mental health, that sort of cognitive dissonance between being who I want to be and fitting in. And I think at the end of the day, however I feel like I fit into my team, I always just want to make sure that I'm being true to myself.
I love that you started off just with that because that's been, I would say, probably the biggest lesson I've learned as well. Hitting a little bit on the mental health piece, kind of where can you go into that a little bit deeper?
Absolutely. So as I said, I think my first priority was really coming in and just fitting in with my team. And lacrosse, I think, is a sport with a very unique culture. It's not especially a culture that's friendly to people of color. It lacks a lot of representation. And so I think for me, that was just really jarring to figure out, where do I fit into this? How do I fit in? I definitely started to feel more comfortable once I realized that I would play. I think that was a way for me to feel really safe in my position on the team. But in terms of mental health, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, that was just really tough to juggle, that sort of feeling like I wasn't being myself. I think also being on a lacrosse team, there's a lot of pressure as the only Black person on the team, to make sure that I am, representing well. The most memorable times that I've ever had in my sport, we were doing we were signing autographs after the game, which was already kind of funny because like we're a women's lacrosse team. But I remember there was a program. It was based in Connecticut, but it was very similar to sort of a Harlem lacrosse program. And all of the girls came up to me and they wanted my autograph. I should also mention I'm a defender. Like, I'm not scoring points, I'm not doing anything flashy. But they all knew me. They all wanted my autograph. And to see that there are people really watching, to see that there are people looking up to me as a role model. Not only am I serving that role as bringing representation sort of within my team dynamic, but really having an outsized impact on the Black lacrosse community as well. Even when I think of like some of my role models, like Sammy White on Northwestern, Brooklyn Walker Welch on UNC, like, all of the Black female lacrosse players. And so I think just carrying that is really a heavy load. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, just always trying to be myself in that effort.
I definitely can see what you're saying about, now there's young girls saying that they look up to me. Like, I cannot let them down. I totally can see it, like how that feels. And I've definitely experienced that myself. How has, your identity in lacrosse, how is it different from your identity day to day with your typical group of friends?
I think my identity in lacrosse, I've definitely, and I'm not proud of this, but I think I've definitely sort of made myself smaller. I think I still am working on really truly being myself and not sort of just conforming or kind of removing myself a little bit. And I will say, Yale this year, we've really started to formalize our Black Student Athlete Coalition. And that has done wonders for me in terms of really like coming into myself and really like understanding my identity.
What would you say to people who avoid sports because they're white dominated and they don't feel like they would fit in?
It's a great question. There's a lot of things there. I mean, I guess I would even start with thinking about, it's really a systemic issue. It's the same as any other systemic issue relating to race in the US, right? So when I think about the recruiting process that I went through, it was super expensive. It was, all of the camps are like upwards of hundreds of dollars. And so I think of that as a huge barrier to entry. All of these sticks that you see lacrosse players using, they're $200. We have four of them, right? Like, and so I completely understand why people don't even want to go into the sport. As far as what would I say to them, I would really say, don't let anybody decide. Like, don't let other people do that. I went into lacrosse because I love the sport. I still think it's a really awesome, just interesting sport. It's unlike a lot of others. To know what you're getting yourself into. I think had I really faced that before coming into this program, I would have sought out the Black community, right? And I would have had that community where I can really be myself and just relax. So just be realistic. Almost have a game plan for, where is your rest space, where is your supportive area on campus. But do what you love.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for coming on. I can't wait for you guys to come out to Cornell and watch you play.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited.
Hey guys, it's Sydney. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Let's Talk About It. If you did, make sure to leave a review and send it to a friend. Let's keep this conversation going. I'll see you guys next week.